Hello everyone, welcome to the Power BI session, and today we shall be talking about each and everything about Power BI from the beginning. We'll talk about the introduction and we'll talk about the overview, what exactly Power BI desktop is, what is Power BI service, what's new. Just one second. So we'll talk about the overview, Power BI desktop, Power BI service, what's new, what are the integration pinpoints, how to integrate with other data sources, and how to work with Power BI. What are the various other services which we have? We shall also be talking about Power BI Pro and Premium, and nevertheless, we'll also talk about the administration part, how to provide access to each workspace and all those things. And then we will try to summarize the theoretical part, and then we will move on to talk about the various how to create measures, how to create columns, and definitely today's session we will try to finish all those functionalities, and tomorrow's session exactly at the same time at 7 o'clock we shall be having a live dashboard building. Just give me 1 second so that I can confirm if my voice is audible or not, and then we can quickly get started. Okay, so yeah, so the voice is audible, I think. I also have another device in front of me so that I can check the comment section as well. Anybody has any doubts, feel free to comment out in the comment section itself. I will try to read your comments, and maybe I'll try to answer them on the go itself. But in case you have any issues later on apart from this particular session, maybe if you have an issue tomorrow or maybe sometime later, you can definitely ping me. I it's already my link, it's already there in the description below, so you can get in touch with me on LinkedIn, and you definitely have my WhatsApp numbers as well, so I'll be there to help you out. So let's get started. So talking about the theoretical part, we will talk about Power BI. What exactly Power BI is? Power BI is a business intelligence tool, and it's a product by Microsoft, and down the line it's going to replace Microsoft Excel as well. And as of now it's in the race with Tableau, but I feel very much confident that over the period of next 2 to 3 years it will definitely surpass the Tableau users as well. So let's talk about Power BI a little bit more about that. Power BI, you can see this particular example, this particular screen talks about Power BI experience your data, any data, anyway, anywhere. So it's a out of the box software as a service content pack. It has real time dashboards and interactive reports. We will talk about that slowly. It it is using natural language query. It has a lot of custom visualizations. I believe there are more than 150 visualizations at the moment in Power BI, and obviously it's integrated with Office 365. So I mean your data is secure. We'll talk about the data security as well in this slide. Now, in the left side, you can see that there is cloud data, there is on premises data. Now, that's going to be my data source. So, data source is something from where I need to extract my data. Is it a database? Is it a file? Is it a flat file? It can be anything. So that's going to be your data source from where you are extracting your data. Then you create your you do some analysis and you create your visualizations, create your report, and then you publish it. So the right section is basically the publish method, like how to publish it. You can publish it on web, you can publish it on mobile, you can extract the reports as an Excel sheet, as a PDF, as a PPT, and lot more. So we'll talk about that slowly. Okay, so this is the Power BI product portfolio. We have Power BI Desktop, Power BI Service, Power BI Premium, Report Server, Power BI Embedded. Now, Premium and Report Server basically is required for most of the MNCs use Premium and Report Server because it's bit costlier. But if your organization is getting started with the analytics part, you can get started with the Pro version itself. I'll talk about the Pro versus Premium as well. But yeah, this is just an overall product portfolio. Now, this is going to be one of the interesting slide because Power BI Desktop is an application of Power BI which has to be installed in your machines. Okay, I'll tell you the links how to install it, but definitely if you just Google it out, you will get the links directly, and you can also see that you can directly have to go to the powerbi.com or the Windows Store, and you can easily download the Power BI Desktop. So it's kind of a tool. You can call it as an IDE or something like that, where you have to create your reports from scratch. Now, these are the 5 important points you have to remember in terms of Power BI. So, Power BI Desktop, it's a free companion authoring tool for the Power BI service. It has 5 different functionalities. Majorly, one is get data, which basically means what is your data source. I will show you the practicals as well. From get data, we'll have to get the data. Your data source can be an Oracle database, it can be a MySQL database, it can be Azure data warehouse, or flat files, anything. There are more than 85 data sources which are currently accepted in Power BI. Then you have to analyze the data. Now, analyzing is something where you have to do your data cleaning, or you could call it as an exploratory data analysis. You have to do some data cleansing activities, wrangling activities, something like that. And then you have to create your final data, which will be ready for visualization. Now, once your data is ready, there comes your visualization step. So we have visualized more than 150 visualizations are available in Power BI. Now, as a free user, if you don't have a pro license at the moment, which is okay, you still have an access to 33, almost 33 to 35 visualizations. But if you have a pro account, you have an access to all the 150 visualizations. And pro account is not that expensive. So I'll talk about the cost as well. Then once you have done with your visualization part, once you have created your reports, dashboards, then comes your publishing. Now, publishing is something which is like you have to publish it and others can see the report, what you have created. So, sharing insights with others. And then comes your collaboration. Empower your organization with self service analytics. Now, collaboration and publishing is almost similar because you have to collaborate with each other. For example, in your team, there are 5 different members, and you are one of them, and you have created a report. Now, once you publish it, the other 4 members will also have an access to change the report. Now, they can change the original report, or they can create a copy of it and then change the copied report. That is also possible. So, we'll see each and every step one by one. Power BI Premium, yeah, I mean there are a lot of functionalities in Power BI Premium. Let's not talk about that as of now, but yeah, in case you need any help in terms of Premium, because Premium is something which is like you have to decide from an organization point of view. For us, for learning point of view, Premium is not required. Again, Power BI Report Server is only required for when you are taking premium. It basically provides you a report server as well, which is something like you have terabytes of data and you are dealing with a lot of reporting activities, and your organization is huge and completely it's into the business analytics field. Then definitely you might need premium account and a report server as well. So you can see there are some functionalities of report server as well. On premise report solution, connect to data, so uh, or live connection to SaaS, Power BI reports. So consume in multiple ways, and there are multiple features. Let's not talk about that as of now. So this is how your personal Power BI looks like. Briefly, I have already spoken about it in the very first slide. Left side, you can see the source, app source, source data. It can be anything. That means from where your data is getting extracted. Okay, and then comes your Power BI desktop, which is the developer tool. As a developer, if you're currently working on Power BI, you have to install Power BI desktop, and then you have to create. Then you have to get connections from your data sources or your flat files. Then you have to create the queries, create the data, and create the reports. Power BI service. Once your data is ready, once your report is ready, you can publish it, and that's basically your Power BI service. I'll also talk about that. So once you publish, you can also view your reports in app.powerbi.com. That's basically a Power BI service. And Power BI also has the mobile application. Mobile application also needs Windows 365. Like if your company is using the Microsoft 365 application, it also needs an AD access, right? Only if you have an access, only if you can sign in, then only you will have an access to the reports. In Power BI mobile application, you are only authenticated to view the reports. You cannot create it. So again, we this is almost the same slide which we talked about, but yeah, now we are going to deep dive into it. What exactly get data is, what is analyze, visualize, publish, and collaborate. Now, I have already talked about get data. Easily connect, clean, and mash up data. Connect to 80 plus data sources, both on premises and cloud. Today's session, I'll also show you how to get connections from a flat file, how to get connections from a database as well. I also have done a MySQL setup, so I will try to connect to the MySQL database and show you how the reports are fetched, how the data is fetched, and how we create reports on the go. Shape, transform, and clean data for analysis. Live connectivity to on-premises and cloud data sources. Extend with custom data connectors for any data source. Preparation of data using familiar Power Query experience. In this session, I'll also talk about Power Query because that's the heart of Power BI. Because we do all our analysis things, you can call it as analysis, you can call it as data cleaning or data transformation. It's basically done in your Power Query experience. Now, Power Query editor, right? Get started quickly with a common data model. Extend self-service preparation to Azure Data Lake Storage. After your get data is done, then comes your analyzing, where analyzing can be multiple things. It can be data cleaning, it can be data transformation, it can be creation of new columns, creation of new measures. Now, measures are something we will talk about measures. I have that covered in the slide as well. So let's not talk about measures at the moment, but yeah, measures are something which is basically, let's say you have a column of sales and you want to create the total, you want to find the total sales. So in SQL, with terms of SQL, it's nothing but select sum of column name from table, right? But your output is just a single value. It's a sum of the total records. That's basically a measure in Power BI. And we'll also talk about the data analysis expressions, and we also have some of the advanced DX covered in this particular session. After analyzing, then comes your visualization. Create stunning interactive reports. Author reports using 150 plus visualizations using a drag and drop canvas. Explore data across multiple interactive visualizations. Provide insights in the context of the business with customer visuals, and etc etc. So let's get started quickly. Theory part is a little bit boring, I know. Then comes your publishing. Share insights with others. You have to publish directly to the cloud or on premises. Automatic data refresh. Now, your data can be fetched using multiple data sources, right? One can be your flat files. Now, flat files are not updated often. Now, if you update it, you can refresh it in your Power BI desktop as well. But when it comes to real database, let's say you are connected to a production database. In that case, production data, there are multiple inserts and updates, right? There are multiple upsert operation which happens in your production database. Now, how to make it live, like how your Power BI can be live. That means a data refresh in your database has to be impacted on your Power BI as well. That also I'll show you. There is an option of automatic data refresh. And package your reports in applications for easy consumption and control. Manage analytics content with admin and governance tools. Okay, so this is overallly we talked about the Power BI part, and this is nothing but it's almost same Power BI service, secure live connections of the data. Now, is my data secure in Power BI is one of the questions which I got in my previous session. So I have that covered as well. I'll talk about the security part as well in my future slides. So on premises and in the cloud, your data is definitely secured in Power BI. Keep data anywhere, secure live connections to the data, keep data fresh. Then comes your integration. Now, integration is nothing but, as I told, Power BI is integrated with a lot of data sources. So your get data can have Excel sheets, it can have multiple resources from where you can fetch your data. And it's all about collaboration and sharing insights. That's basically your integration with Power BI. Deliver insights through other services, collaborate and share insights with teams in your organization using existing services. Now, apart from your analytics as well, if for your own analysis, I would say, if you are working on multiple Excel sheets, people who are into the data science background, who are into the data analytics part, maybe they are working with multiple Excel sheets. You can also use multiple Excel sheets as an input in Power BI and analyze them. So we'll also show that in this particular session. Power BI Pro versus Premium. Vaguely I explained you about the basic differences between that. I have this sheet as Hong Kong markets because I'm based out in Hong Kong. So Power BI Pro is basically like 700 Indian rupees, and premium is way costlier. It depends. It depends upon how much report server you are taking, how much GPUs you are taking, and many more things are impacting your Power BI premium account. But Pro is going to be very super simple, and it's going to be very cheap, almost 700 Indian rupees. Exactly, maybe I can tell you the exact price by looking at the website, but yeah, it's somewhere around 700 to 800. Then comes your administration. Administration is something where, let's say you have 5 members in your company, or else in your team. Now everybody cannot be an admin, right? Because if you give admin access to everyone, some of the reports he or she will be able to delete it by mistake, and it is difficult to retrieve back. So management has to be there properly, right? Now every product we build doesn't have a manager, right? There are different categories of people. There are developers, there are team leaders, there are managers. Similarly, in the Power BI also, we have the administration area where we have to create workspaces. In those workspaces we have to add members, and we have to provide the roles as well. Let's say 5 members are there, one can be an admin, two of them can be members, one of them can be just a viewer. That means the viewer can only view the report. Admin can definitely do anything. He can add or uh, delete few reports, he can add members and all those things. And there is something called as moderator as well. So I'll show you all those things when we go to the app.powerbi.com phase. Before that, let me check if somebody has any questions. Okay, somebody is asking about a row level security. I will tell that. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so administration, I will definitely demonstrate to you how to create a workspace, how to assign, how to add members, how to give permissions to each one of them, and then we will try to summarize it. So this is basically a very overall theoretical knowledge which I gave you. But yeah, let's quickly get started with the hands-on part. These are some of the resources. Maybe I will try to share this particular slide after the session is done with the members, and you can have a look at it. There are some documentation, there are some Power BI official websites, like official YouTube videos, and there are some white papers and some blogs as well. Now the question is my data secure? This is one of the questions which was being asked by one of the members in the previous session. Now I would like to say that all the data requested and transmitted by Power BI is encrypted, so in transit using HTTPS to connect from data source to Power BI service. So your data is definitely going to be secure. Now security is a question when it comes to publishing, because when you are publishing your report, then only you think about security. Because okay, so because when you are publishing your report in some workspace, then comes your security issues, right? And one more thing is when you are accessing the data sources. So Power BI is having all sorts of security checks done. So I would say your data is pretty much secure when you are using Azure. Okay. Now, if you have any doubts in terms of any specific data source, let's say you are connecting to Azure Data Lake or Oracle, in terms of that, if you want to know more about the security part, I have one of the white papers. I will try to share it in the uh, in the comment section or in the description so that you can have a look at it later on. Okay. So these are some of the sample reports which I have created, and this sample report we are going to create it tomorrow. So this is already created by me, but yeah, we will try to create it. We will do a hands-on activity tomorrow because tomorrow is the live project session. So this is one of the sample reports. This is also one of the sample reports which can be done in Power BI. You can see like uh, Power BI has the capability to create a very stunning visualization, and that's going to be very much like it's definitely going to create a good. You would say it will be a good pitching to your higher management, or if you are going for a client activity or something like that, your reports are actually looking good in terms of Power BI. So these are the sample reports, and yeah, as I told, we will be creating these reports tomorrow. So let's get started with the concepts. Now, this slide is basically about measures and columns. Now, DAX is nothing but data analysis expression. Okay. Now, these are two types of business logic. Sorry, there are two types of business logic. One is measures and one is calculated columns. As per Google, measures and calculated columns both use DAX expressions. We already know what is DAX. People who are familiar with Excel sheets, they must be knowing DAX, right? But even if you don't know the terminology DAX, but yeah, you are using DAX since a long time. When you are creating the average, you are creating the sum of that. That's basically your data analysis expressions. Okay. The difference is the context of evaluation. A measure is evaluated in the context of the cell evaluated in a report or in DAX query, whereas calculated column is computed at the row level. Now, what does that mean? For example, I have a column called as sales. Now let's quickly create a report that should be okay. Let's quickly create it. I already have something here, so let me close it down. Okay, let me close everything. So this is how your Power BI desktop looks like. For the very first time, if you install Power BI desktop, this is going to be your screen. Now, obviously, in the top right section, you would see a sign in button. For me, I'm already logged into an organizational account, so I'm able to see my name. But for you, it should be a sign in option. Okay, so you can sign in. You can sign in through your organizational account, but of course, you will have to take permissions from your manager. But yeah, definitely you can convince him or her because Power BI is definitely helpful. So when you're taking the Power BI Pro license, it comes with a 60 days of trial. So you can definitely get started with it if you want to do a hands-on activity, 60 days, and then you can cancel the subscription. That's up to you, but I'm sure you will be amazed. So you can extend your subscription based on your organizational decisions, right? Now, in case you are not familiar or you don't want to take the Power BI Pro option, still you will be able to do the hands-on activities. But the only disabled option is publishing. When you don't have a Pro version, you can create reports, but you cannot publish it. But if you have a Pro version account, you are able to publish it. Okay, you can publish it. So let's get started quickly. I already have signed in. So let's say I was talking about the very first point, right? The very first point was get data. So we have to select our source of data. Then only we can do our next steps, right? So you can see this particular option in the home, get data. So these are some of the common data sources which Power BI is suggesting you based on the number of users, maybe. So these are the most common data sources: Power BI datasets, Excel, data flows, SQL Server, etc., etc. So we'll click on more and let's see what are the different data sources that are provided. Can we create to Oracle database? Yes, we can. MySQL? Yes. Azure Data Lakes? Yes, Azure Data Lake is also supported. So you can check. It all depends upon your organization, which database are you dealing with. But even if you don't want to connect to a live database, it's still okay. You can create your own instance of MySQL database, and then you can easily get started with the Power BI part. Now, in case you want to learn how to get started with, like, how to install MySQL workbench and how to get started with the basics of SQL, I do have one of the playlists in my account itself. Maybe I can share it with you so that you get to know, because SQL plays a vital role in terms of data analysis. Okay, so let's get quickly started. My source for the time being would be an Excel sheet, but yeah, later on I will show you how to connect to MySQL databases as well. So I'll select Excel. Here I will try to create, I will try to opt the all files, and then then I will call the churn modeling. So it's basically a CSV file. You can still select the Excel option and do it. But in case you want to just use the CSV option, that's also possible. There are two ways to do it, because CSV is ultimately an Excel file, right? So you can choose this option, or else you can simply go to Excel, just change your file extensions, and then you can easily connect. This is basically a CSV file which we have. Now this is how the data looks like. I will not be able to expand it right now, but it will give you a brief idea of what all columns are in the data set. Now I have row number, customer ID, surname, credit score, geography, gender, age, tenure, balance, etc. etc. There are a lot of options. And yeah, this is one of the customer churn prediction data sets. People who are a part of my data science batch would be able to identify this. But yeah, let's quickly get started. There are three different options, as you can say. One is load, transform data, and cancel. If you cancel it, it's quite obvious it will be cancelled. If you load it, your data set will directly be loaded, and you will be able to see your options in this field. Let me do that. If I just blindly load it, I don't want to go to the transformation phase. So it will just take 1 minute and it will be loaded. Now the time of loading depends upon the data, how much data you have. If you have it in like GBs or terabytes, it might take a longer time as well. So you can see the fields are selected. Now, even if you miss your transform data phase, let's say by mistake you clicked on load, but you wanted to go to the transform data phase, you can still go to that. Once you loaded that, you have to go to the transform data. Okay. Now this page is basically called as your Power Query Editor. Okay. So there are two different techniques. One is loading the data and then manually clicking on transform data, or else the second method is, let me just delete it. People who have a basics of Power BI, they would be finding it little bit boring, but yeah, it's quite important for people who are starting from scratch. Now I have selected the data, and then yeah, I'll have to go to the transform method. Now what does transform method do? We will talk about that. Transform method is nothing but, as the name suggests, we have to transform the data. So this is your initial data cleaning activity. People who are familiar with the business analytics or data analytics terminologies, they know what data cleaning is. Data cleaning, data massaging, whatever you can call it, data wrangling. Okay, so these are some of the columns that I have. Now there are a lot of options, there are a lot of functionalities in your Power Query Editor. That is the reason Power Query Editor is called as the heart of Power BI, without which nothing is possible. Now let's say this is just an Excel sheet, so I don't have to do all this analysis. I can easily close and create a dashboard. But when it comes to real data, your data set might have millions of records. So you have to choose your number of columns wisely. Let's say for your analysis, you don't need these columns. Now, if you don't need, you can simply delete it. If you keep it and if you close it, so these columns are coming into memory, right? It is eating up the memory of Power BI. So it's going to take more time. So it has to be a decision which has to be taken by you. Let's say I want to delete these columns. Now you just mark this particular applied steps column. There will be a new step added for each activity I do. Let's say these three columns I am deleting. Okay. Now how to select multiple columns? Control, click, click, click. Okay. Or else you can also choose columns like this. But let's say I have selected this and I don't want these columns. Right click, remove columns. Now you can see there is a step added here. So each and every activity you do here, one step will be added. Now let's say I want to just for the instance, I want to delete this row. I don't want it. So right click, let's say uh, remove rows, remove top rows. I want to delete the top 5 rows, let's say. Okay, so top 5 rows has been deleted. Now let's say instead of 0, I don't want it 0. I want to replace the values. So replace option is also provided here. Replace option is mainly to treat the null values. Let's say your column has certain null values. Now, once you try to project it in the visualizations, those values might be skipped. So in order to have that, you have to convert it into zeros or something. You have to treat your null values, right? So let's say I have zeros and I'm just showing you the functionality, how to replace values. Now, if you want to only replace values in balance, you can select this and click on replace values. So 0, replace it with, let's say 100. So you can see all the values are replaced and a step has been added here. Now let's say you want to apply this to multiple columns. So you do control click, 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 right click, go to replace values. So in these 3 columns, wherever you find 0, replace it with 100. I mean, it doesn't make any sense for the time being, but I'm just showing you the possibilities. Okay. Each and everything you are doing is captured in your applied steps. Now, the only reason why it is captured is that maybe there are multiple steps which is being performed and you might forget it. So if you want to go back to the very first step, you can click on your change type or your source where you can select, okay, this is the source and removed columns. What exactly is this? Okay. What exactly is this? You can select the click on the rows. Okay. So I have deleted the top 5 rows in this step. That was a mistake which I did. So you can revert back your mistakes as well. You just have to click on this cross button. So you can let's say you have committed a mistake and one of your steps is a mistake, right? So you can definitely go to that particular point, see the settings button, what was the change which was done, and then click on cross. So it is asking you, are you sure? Are you sure you want to delete this step? Deleting this step may affect subsequent steps, which could cause your query to break. I will delete it. Okay. Now you can see my top 5 records are retrieved. Now let's say this particular step was we updated 0 to 100, which is a mistake, like which doesn't make any sense. So let's just close it. So all this addition and removal of steps is possible in this particular step. Now let's try to see what are the different options that are available. Change of data types. If you want to change this data type, let's say this is age, and you can see that it is showing 1, 2, 3. That means it's a number, right? It's a whole number. Now, if you want to change it to text, just have to click, just have to go here and click on text. Once I click on text, you can see the right side in the applied steps, there will be one step added. Okay. You have changed the type, right? Now, if you want to select here and go here, you can see the changes. It's ABC. Here it is 1, 2, 3, right? Let's revert it back. What are the different other steps which is possible? Let's say, okay, I already talked about choosing columns, deleting columns. Let's say I want to just keep these four columns, and I want to delete rest all of them. So click on remove other columns. Okay, and there are a lot of things which are actually available here. Now let's say you're dealing with multiple data sets. Now I don't have a ready-made Excel sheet right now, which makes sense, but for the time being, I can duplicate it. Now I'll just change it to new file. Okay, now I have two data sets. Okay, now you can see this option called as merge queries. Merge queries is nothing but appending and merging. We already know the basic differences of that, right? Appending is something where you have 100 records in first data set, 100 in second, you just append it. So 100 plus 100, it will be 200 records. Now, what is merge queries? Merge queries is nothing but in SQL, if you know about joins, basically your merge queries is that. Let's see what exactly is this. So when I click on this particular option, I can see two different options, merge queries and merge queries as new. Now, if I do merge queries, so this particular table will be impacted, the new file. If I don't want to touch that, let's say I want to create a new table. So you can do merge queries as new. Now you have to select what is your table one, what is your table two. On which column are you going to merge these tables? Okay, so obviously what I am doing is actually meaningless, but I'm just showing you the steps. Let's say I'm going to merge it on age. So you just select like this age, or let's say age tenure and age tenure. You can see 1, 2, 1, 2. That means you are merging on these columns. So it's nothing like, it's nothing but select a dot star comma b dot star from AB, where a dot age equals to b dot age and a dot tenure equals to b dot tenure. People who are familiar with SQL will be able to relate it. And then comes your joins. Which type of join do you want? It comes with an explanation as well, which is very good actually. Left outer, it's saying that all from first matching from the second. Right outer, all from second matching from first. Full outer, all rows from both the tables. Inner join, only matching rows. So let's say table 1 has 1000 records, table 2 has 2000 records, and there are only 100 records which is getting matched based on these criteria. Then your output will be just 100 records. Left anti, right anti, there are a lot of options. So let's click on inner join, and you can see the match selection, like it matches all the rows, right? Because it's ultimately the same data set. Let me just click on OK and see. In the left section, you will see that there will be a new column which will be created. Sorry, new table which will be created. It will be by the name of merge one. Okay. Now you can rename it as per your needs. Merge table, or you can say whatever it is, merge table. That's it. And once you click on merge table, you just have to scroll right. Here you will see this is what I wanted to explain. What exactly is this? Now try to understand this thing. Let's say I have table 1, first name, last name, and ID for an example, and age. Table 2, I have ID, project ID, manager name. Okay, something like that. Now what I have done is inner join, right? So inner join is something like this: a dot star, b dot star from a comma b, where a dot id equals to b dot id, because this is the common column which we have, right? Select a dot star. So this is also possible, and you can also write the inner query function as well from a. inner join. So this is also possible. Okay, but let's just talk about the basic concepts. So this is the query which is used for inner join. Now this table will give you an output like this, which basically means, so all these columns, and then there is something called as table. What to do with that? So your output is nothing but it is a dot star. That means it has all the columns from table 1, and b dot star is in the format of table. That means which columns do you want to show? Let's say you want to show just few columns. Let's say I just want to show project ID. So there is no need of showing all the columns. It's up to you. If you can select everything, click on OK. It will just expand everything. Okay. And if you click on everything, definitely you will get b dot star. Now let's say I don't want b dot star. I just want project ID. That means I just want one column. So you can simply click on this button. Let's say I just want exited, and I will click on OK. So you can see. So this is nothing but this is your table 1, table 1's column exited. This is table 2's column exited. In this case, the join has been done on similar data set, right? So that's the reason it is coming like this with a different name. But yeah, in real scenarios, you can it will be a column b's column, right? I hope you're getting my point. In case you still have any questions, you can definitely ping in the chat box. Anybody has any questions so far, or else we can move? Can somebody just comment out something, because I'm not able to see any comments. I hope everybody is clear. Okay. Okay, I missed out some of the questions. I'm really sorry for that. Let's try to answer them first. Security I covered. If my dashboard is connected to a database and I remove columns in query editor, will it still refresh correctly? Yes, because you are deleting your column in Power BI. You are not deleting it in your database. So anything which is done in your Power BI, it is limited to your Power BI itself. Okay. When I try to use this MySQL database, maybe I will try to show you that as well. Okay. Why there is different data in data in exited? No, it's is it? Oh, maybe because of the join. It might be because of the join. But yeah, you can do a hands-on experience, hands-on practice on your data sets, and maybe you can get back to me if you have still any questions, right? So for the time being, I'm just deleting it. I'm deleting this as well. Okay, now let's talk about few more options in Power Query. Now you can see that okay, let's try to talk about group by. There is a functionality called as group by here itself. Now if you want, let's try to see what is group by. Now group by is something like, in terms of SQL, let's say you have 4 blue balls, let's say, and let's say it's something like this: blue, 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 green, green, blue, something like this. Your column has 6 values: blue, 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 green, green, blue, and you want output like this: blue 4 and green 2. That means you are grouping by, right? It's something like select color count star from table group by color, right? in terms of SQL. So this is the same group by functionality. Let's try to group by based on gender. Let's try to see what is the count of each category. How many females and how many males do we have? So I'll click on gender and new column. Let's say gender count. Operations, I will make it sum. That means the total operation, like total values. On which column am I going to group by? Let's say I want to see the exited. So I want to see how many females have exited or how many males have exited, right? Let's try to click on OK. Now you can see that 1139 people have exited, like 1139 females have exited from the system and 898 males have exited. Okay, let me just close it down. Now, once I created, just do it again. Gender count, sum, and on exited. Okay. Now, when I'm clicking on this, I'm getting this group by output, right? Now, if I just save it, my data set will just have two records. So in order to get rid of this, like you want a group by, but you don't want it on the original data set. Simple. Just close it, create a copy of it. Let's say I want gender group by. Now, now group by is not just limited to this. There are multiple ways to achieve group by. This is just one of them. Okay. There are some easier techniques as well, but let's try to understand the difficult techniques first. So gender group by, I just have duplicated it. I will do the same steps which I did. Group by gender, gender count, sum, exited. Okay. Okay. Now I want a group by on uh, let's say geography. I will rename it geography group by. So now what I'll do is there is an option called as advanced editor. Maybe it's too early for us to talk right now about advanced editor, but yeah, let's just talk about the basics first. I'll go to geography. I will click on geography count, sum, how many exited, and here you go. So I have a count of people who have exited. So 800 people who were staying in France have left the system. 413 people who are staying in Spain have left the system, and 814 Germany people who are staying in Germany have left the system. So these insights can be useful in my data analysis, or you can say in the visualization part. Okay, so this is also one of the steps how to do it, but yeah, there are easier steps as well when it comes to the visualization reports. Now, also let's talk about formatting options. Let's try to close it first. Let's try to do our analysis on the original data. Okay, so I'm just closing the removed columns. That means I want my old columns back. Okay, my row number, customer ID, and surname. I just have one filter, which is nothing but replace value as zeros, which is okay. Or else let's just close it down. So we are using the original data set. Close and apply. Now comes your data will be loaded in the fields, and let's try to create some visualizations, and then I'll show you some basic formatting options, and yeah, slowly we will talk about the future things as well. Okay, so you can see once you're done with your transformation step in your Power Query editor, once you click on close and apply, then your filter or your operations are being applied, and then you can easily see your data sets, or you can call it as tables, in your right section, in your field section. Okay, now I am able to see three. Now if you want to create a table, which is one of the basic things to do, right? I want to see the data here. So you can click on your table. Let's say I want to see customer name, geography, gender, age, exited, salary. Let's click on everything. Okay, let's not click on row number and tenure. So this is how my table looks like. Pretty much ugly for the time being, but yeah, we'll try to make it beautiful. This is how the table looks like at the moment. Now the basic things. I will talk about the basic things and then slowly we will proceed. Now let's say orientation is a problem here. Let's say exited shouldn't be here. It should be at the end of the column or at the end of the table. So you can simply click on your visualization. So once you click on any visualization, that particular visualization is active. Okay. Now before that, I just missed one thing. Sorry for that. When we were talking about the visualization point, right? I talked about more than 150 visualizations, right? Now, if you don't have a pro account, definitely your publish option will be disabled, and you will still have an access to these set of visualizations like 3, 6, 6 into 5, 30, almost 33, 34 visualizations will still be available for you to get started with. But if you have a pro account, you have an access to everything. Just click on these three dots, click on this, get more visuals. So you will have an access to your marketplace where you can easily add n number of visualizations. It is taking a little bit time, so let's wait for 1 minute. Why it's taking a lot of time? I think it's stuck. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. My system is little bit slow, so sorry for that. I have so many operations running in my system, so that makes it little bit slow. So you can see these are the visualizations that are available. Some of them are certified, some of them are not certified. Now what does that mean? That means these are certified by Power BI, that there is support for that. If you face any difficulties in this particular visualization, or else if you need any help, there will be support for that. So these are some of the applications that are not verified by Power BI. So you do it as per your risk. It is quite possible it might give you, like, it can betray you. It depends. But yeah, so far I have been using a lot of visualization, and it's completely fine to use. You can click on OK. Sorry, you can click on all, and there will be a lot of visualizations. Don't have to pay extra for this. If you have pro license, 700 bucks, more than enough. Now if somebody is joining from somebody who is not from India, so 700 bucks, as in I'm talking in terms of Indian rupees. So it's basically 10 US dollars, right? So let's say I want to use word cloud. So let's add it. So once you add it, you will see your new visualization here. So import has been successful. Now, if you don't want to repeat these steps again and again and again, simply click on right, just do a right click on this, pin to visualizations pin. That means it will be by default available in your pin. Now let's just quickly close it and let's try to open word cloud. Now what exactly is word cloud? People who are already to data science or analytics, they must be already knowing about word cloud. But yeah, let me show you the geography. Okay, so this basically means that there are more number of France people than Spain and Germany. Okay, so let's just delete it for the time being. Yeah, you can explore by yourselves. Quickly jumping into the table. Why my Power BI is little bit slow? Just give me 1 second. Okay, so let me just expand it. Yeah, I just had I just interrupted in between about the visualizations. Let's come back to the table. So this is how the table looks like. Now, obviously, the table is ugly. Let's try to beautify it. So to beautify, you have to use your formatting options. Now, let's say in case you have multiple visualizations in your screen. Let's say you have a table and you also have a pie chart. For example, now, if you want to beautify your table, you have to first click on your table. Once you click on your table, you can see in the visualizations, your table visualization is active. You can see surname, geography. Now, let's say you want to move the orientation. If you want to move the exited to the last column, you can simply drag it to last, something like this. Right now, you can see that some of the columns are summarized. Now, number of products are summarized. This is the total number of products, total number of people having credit cards. Credit score is also summarized. Now, doesn't make any sense if we like this number is actually valueless for us, right? We don't want to add credit score. Like we don't want to summarize it. We don't want the total value of a credit score, or else we don't want the total value of customer ID. So what you can do is you can simply go to credit score, click. So you can see by default it has been used, it is using the sum operation. So you just click on dot summarize. Now you will be able to see, okay, there is no summarizing here, right? So accordingly you can see, like, accordingly you can change it. Let's say age, it's just added up and it has been summarized. Doesn't make any sense, right? So simply go to age, click here. You can see by default it is done sum. Just click on don't summarize. Okay, now you can do it with the other columns as well. I just wanted to show you the basic things. Now, as I told, let's say you have multiple visualizations in your particular screen and you want to change something in that visualization, or you want to do some formatting changes. Click on your visualization will be active. Go to the second tab, which is nothing but your formatting options tab. Here you will be able to see a lot of things: general, style, grid, column headers, values, total. Covering each and everything is going to take me a lot of time, but you can explore yourselves. So style, let's talk about the basic things which we want to do. Let's try to give some style to this to this table because it looks ugly. So let's just change it to contrast alternating rows. Let's say I will just expand it. Okay, that's fine. Looks not that bad. Alternating rows looks like this. Flashy rows looks like this. It all depends upon you. Which visualization do you want? Now, if you also want to do some fancy visualizations, like you can also make it transparent as well. Let's say you have a background image. So in terms of that also, it's possible if you want to make this particular table transparent. So we will talk about transparency as well. But yeah, for the time being, let's try to see the other formatting options. Column headers, font color. You can just quickly change it. You can see how the values are getting changed, right? It's white right now. If I just change it to purple, this is how the changes looks. Now obviously it's not looking good because the background is black, right? Now you can change your background color as well. It all depends upon your skills, your, I would say, presentation skills, or you can say anything, but yeah, it all depends upon you. How do you want to do it? Outline, bottom only, top only, you can see. You can change it accordingly and everything will be changed. Font styles, what is the text size? You can increase the text size. The values will be like the font size will be increased. And there are a lot of things. If you want to add a border, you can add it. And this is how it looks. Okay, let's just quickly delete this. So this is how it looks like. Still not that great, but I'm just showing you what are the formatting options. Okay. Now let's quickly create one more pie chart as well. Let's say here. Okay. Now I talked about the group by thing, right? That we already have a group by function, gender group by. That is just for showcasing you that this is possible. You can do it, you cannot do it. It's okay. But even if you don't have this, let's say just assume we don't have these two options right now. We don't have these two tables. Still, I want to show my group by values in this pie chart. So you can simply click on gender, just drag and drop in the value section. You can see gender in the legend and gender in the values. By default, it is taking the count operation and it is showing you males and females. So male is 54.57% and females are 45.43%. Again, if you want to do some formatting options changes, you can click on this. Let's say you want this, you don't want this title. Simply go to the formatting options, close the title. Or else if you want to change the title, let's say you want to change the title to gender comparison, something like this. And you want it the alignment as center. That's possible. If you want to change the text size, right? Multiple things are possible in this. So this is how a random report is created. Don't go with this particular set. Definitely we will be creating many more stunning visualization reports. And let's add some title to this particular report for the time being. Let me add it random report just for fun. Center alignment, bold, change it to 28 and let's give some color to this. Let's say this thing. So this is how my report has been created. Now if I click on Control S, that means I'm going to save my report. I'm clicking Control S. So it is asking me where do I have to save. So you can provide your path and I will just choose random report. So it's a PBIX file. It's basically a Power BI file. Save it. Now comes your administration part. Before showing the administration part, I want to show you the Power BI web application. So this is the Power BI desktop. Let's talk about the Power BI web application. It's been 1 hour since we have already started this session. So we can give a 5 minutes break if you want to, because people are in the session for a longer period of time. So let's take a 5 minutes break quickly and we will quickly join back in 5 minutes. Okay. Uh, it's 8:05. Let's say 8:10. Okay. I'm already back, but let's wait for 2 more minutes. so that if anybody has gone for a break, maybe let him or her be back, then we can quickly start. Okay, let's get started. Can somebody just confirm if my voice is audible, and then we can quickly start. Okay, so let's get started. Now, the report has been created. Let's talk about the app.powerbi.com part, which is nothing but the Power BI service part. Okay. Okay. So I'm sorry, there is a little bit delay from what when I'm speaking and to the YouTube live. So the response is a little bit not that great from my side. Maybe I'm sorry for that. Let's quickly jump ahead with the course, right? So the report has been created. Let me show you how the app.powerbi.com looks like. I'll just have to close it. And this is how app.powerbi.com looks like. I cannot show you the login page because I have to use my organizational login. I do have an organizational login. So obviously, when you have an access to your Power BI Pro, then only you will be having an access to app.powerbi.com. Okay. Now you can see there are two options, workspaces and my workspace. Now, if you want to create a new workspace and if you want to work, let's say your company has multiple teams working on Power BI and your team is specifically having 5 members. So what you can do is you can create a new workspace. You can go to workspaces, create new workspace, name this workspace, let's say Power BI webinar. Just randomly, I'm giving some name, some description, and I don't have to provide any advanced options. Just save it. So my workspace is created. Now let's say I want to go to that particular workspace and I want to add users. Okay. Some users will have all the accesses, some user will have admin access. It all depends. So definitely your manager has to take this particular responsibility, or your senior data scientist, or anybody who is actually a governing entity in your particular team. He will be having an access to this. He will be the creator of the workspace. So you can go to workspace access and you can simply add the names. Once you add the names, you will be able to give them access. So randomly I'll just add some Gmail ID. I'm not sure if Gmail IDs will be okay. It's not applicable. I cannot actually show you how to add users, but yeah, because I cannot add my organization users right now because it will be visible to you. So I'll not add them. It's kind of a privacy. But yeah, once you click on your abc@xyz.com, your organization, you are able to select this particular roles: admin, member, contributor, viewer. So the permissions are, the highest permission is admin, then comes your member, then comes your contributor, then comes your viewer. Now admin can delete other admins as well. He or she can delete other reports. He can create new reports. He can do anything. Admin is basically everything. He's kind of a god to this particular workspace. Okay. Now, member is the secondary option. Under admin, there has to be one or two members. Member has an access to everything, but they will not be able to delete the admins. They will not be able to add a new admin. Contributor, again, it's a second, it's kind of a third important role after admin and member. Contributor can, I'm not sure a contributor can create a new member or not. Sorry, a new, he or she can add a new user to your workspace or not. I'm not pretty sure, but contributor is someone who can edit reports as well. A viewer is just a view access. He's just able to view the reports. He's not able to edit the reports. So this is how it works. And yeah, on the go also you can just change the permissions accordingly. As you add users, your users will be seen here. Now let's say you have 5 different team members in your company, and you add each one of them, and you are the one who is publishing the reports, so others will have an access to that. That's basically is your sharing and collaboration point. Okay, so we have created Power BI webinar workspace at the moment. Let's try to publish it, because this is empty right now. I don't have anything. Now somebody might have a question that get data option is also available here, right? But using this get data, you will not be able to access the databases. However, this is having a very minimal access. Like in your desktop, you have an access to more than 80 to 100 data sources, right? When it comes to app.powerbi.com, the web version, you don't have an access to a lot of features. You only can play around with Excel sheets or some flat files, but you cannot connect to databases. Maybe I'll show you that as well. Click on get data. You can see there are multiple options. Some might be thinking that databases options are there. So let's go and see this get. Okay, so there are some options which is given: Azure database, data warehouse, SQL server, or Spark on Azure HD inside. Let's click on this. Once you click on this, it will definitely ask you to download the desktop, because without that, it's not possible. So get data option is provided, but it is having a limited access here. You can only use the files. Local file you can use. You can create a local file, or you can simply use some Excel sheets and you can play around with it. But yeah, it is advisable to, when you are creating a report from scratch, it is advisable to use Power BI desktop. Okay, so I already have a workspace. Let's try to publish this. So it is asking me for a lot of options. Like there are a lot of workspaces. I cannot show you, but yeah, I have a Power BI webinar. I'll click on this and I will deploy it. So this is now getting deployed, or you can call it as getting published. So publishing is successful. Let's go and check the app.powerbi version. As you can see, it had nothing, right? Initially, it had nothing. Now it has two things. One is your report, one is your data set. Now, data set is something which is the internal data set which is being used in your particular report. So you don't have to mess with the data set. You just have to use your report. Once you click on this, you can see it is telling you when was the last data that was updated, and this is how the report looks like. Now, if you want, you can still edit it. As I told, editing option is available, but you cannot create something from scratch here. Let's try to edit it. Now, if you want to edit it, uh, let's say let's say I'm just adding some visualization, donut chart, and let's make it here, add it, and let's say I want to use the geography. Let's say now, obviously, I have clicked it. So by default, it is being selected in the legend. So you have to also drag and drop in the value section. Drag and drop. Once you drag and drop, by default, it will take the count option. In case it doesn't take, you just have to click on this and click on the count option. Now you can see count of geography by geography. Let's change the title. So I'm just clicking on this visualization, going to the formatting options, going to the title and changing geography distribution or comparison. Okay. And alignment should be centralized, and this is how it should look. Okay. Now you can see in the report, this is not properly visible. So that means I'll have to do this. Okay. So this is one more addition which I have done. I have edited this report. Now if I click on save, this particular report will be overwritten. Okay. But in order to not do that, because let's say I am the creator of the report, I can definitely do this, right? It's up to me if I want to edit my report or not. Let's say Mr. X has created the report and I am Mr. Y. So I can also click on save as a copy. That means I'm not impacting the original data set, I'm just saving it as a copy file. So let's say Power BI demo version 2, something like this, and click on save. Now let's go to this particular workspace. Now you can see there are two reports. One is your first report, one is your second report. So this is how a report is created and publishing is done. So now you have a basic idea how to publish reports. You also know how to administer, right? What is the administration part? Now going to the report, clicking on the workspace and adding members. That's basically your administration phase. Now we also talked about editing report. Let's talk about export options. So this is how the report looks like. Let's say you want to share it to your bosses or maybe some clients or something like that. So as it is, you can add those members in your workspace so that they can view it in their app.powerbi.com, or else the second technique is file. Sorry, this is basically the new version. So I'm not. I'm getting. Okay. Okay, so this is so I'm recently it has been updated, so I am missing out on some points. Initially the export option was available here itself. Now they have just changed the export option, so you have to click on export and you can see there are multiple ways to export it. So let's try to export it using PDF file. Export with current values, default values. Let's say I want current values. Only export the current page. Now you can see there are just one page here in the report. There is just one page, right? Page one. Now if you have multiple pages, it is also possible. PDF export. So export is in progress and it will be exported soon. It should be done in a couple of seconds. Let's wait for 10 seconds maybe. It's taking more than, okay, it has been downloaded. So this is how your report looks like. You can share it with your clients, with your higher management if they don't have a Power BI Pro. And if they have, you can definitely, you don't have to export it as well. They can easily log in and they can check the reports, right? So this is how the report looks like. Now there is one more option called as scheduling the reports. Let's say your report is getting updated every day and you want to summarize the report and send it to your clients or maybe some of your managers every month. So there is an option called as subscribe. Click on subscribe, click on add a new subscription, subscribe, subject, maybe you can add it. Let's say Power BI monthly estimation, something doesn't make any sense, but yeah. Which report do you want? It just has one page, so page one. What should be the frequency? How often should I get the mails? let's say monthly or let's say weekly. It's a weekly report or a monthly report. It depends upon your company, right? Which day of your month do you want? Let's say every Monday I want. Every Monday at 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay. For me, it's the time zone, but yeah, you can select your own time zone as well. And starting from today, let's say I want this weekly report for 1 month at least. So you can click on maybe 6th. Also include access to the report and link to the report. Once you click on save, then that means your scheduling is successful. So you have already subscribed to your emails. Now this is one thing. One more option is one more thing I wanted to highlight is your how often your data has to be refreshed. There are two different things. Here we are just using a flat file, right? So using a flat file, it is mandatory that you have to refresh. Only then you will get the latest report. But in case you are using some data sources like Azure Data Lake or some NoSQL databases where you want live connectivity. So there will be two different options when you select that particular data source. There will be two options. One is import, one is direct query. So you have to select the direct query option, and then once you select the direct query option, once you publish your report, then you have to come to your workspace, click on the data set, go to settings. You can see there is an option called as scheduled refresh. Okay, why it's okay. So okay, so the option is not available because it's an Excel sheet, but you can at least see the options. You will have to turn it on when you're using a real data set. Sorry, a real live connection. Refresh frequency. There will be two options: daily or weekly. How often do you want to refresh your data? Because sometimes users are annoying. They don't want to refresh the data and something like that. If you want automatic refresh, you can schedule a refresh as well. Schedule it. You can also select your ad time, and then you will be successfully scheduling the reports. So you don't have to manually refresh it. So this is also one option. So this is where our initial step is done. Our next step will be analyzing and connecting to MySQL database. I'll also show you that. So before that, let me give just 1 minute break to myself. Okay. So I already have my MySQL workbench, which is I have downloaded the MySQL workbench and I have installed the MySQL database in my machine itself. So I have created my databases and the tables as well. For the time being, I am trying to use Shakila database. It's a very common database. You just have to search Shakila in Google. You will be able to find it out. A very common database. People who are dealing with the databases, they might be knowing about the Sakila database. Might be mispronouncing it, but I'm not pretty sure. But yeah, this is how the database looks like. Let me show you the JPG file as well. So this is how the schema looks like. There are certain tables, and we will try to analyze, or you can say we will try to see how to read the data from a MySQL database. Okay, this is how the database looks like. Let's go back to the database. I will just quickly select my database and what all what all okay, I do have some select queries. As you can see, there are these are the tables which we have, right? Actor, film, language, and all the tables are connected with each other using one or two primary keys. Let's say actor is connected to film actor based on actor ID. So actor ID is a primary key in actor, but it's a foreign key in film actor. Similarly, film actor is connected to film based on film ID and actor ID. You can see film ID. Okay, just film ID. Similarly, film is connected to film category and it's a whole bunch of network which is there. So let's try to see how my select star from actor looks like. If you are not familiar with SQL, I do have a playlist. I already told in the initial when I started. You can also go through that particular SQL playlist and you will definitely understand that. But yeah, in case you are already knowing SQL, that's good. Let's quickly get started. I just want to close this. So I will just create a new report. Let me close it down and just give 1 minute to open because Power BI sometimes take little bit time to open up. Okay, I think it's opened up. Just a few more seconds. Tomorrow's sessions is going to be very important because we are going to see how we can create a live dashboard. The PPT which I showed you, right? The telecom churn database data set. We will be dealing with that particular use case and we will see how to do the data analysis, how to do the initial insight gathering, and how to create a beautiful beautiful visualization report. Okay. So I have already opened the database, opened the Power BI desktop. So let's try to connect to the MySQL workbench. So more. Now I'll have to select MySQL database. So here it might ask me about the server details and all those things. So it's asking server, database, advanced options. Okay. Now let me just provide the details. Anybody has any doubts in terms of how to install my MySQL workbench or any SQL queries or something like that? Feel free to connect with me and I will try to help you out. 3306. Database. What is the database we are using? We are using Shakila database, right? So we'll use it Shakila database. Not sure if it is Sakila or Shakila, but doesn't really matter. So click on OK. Once you click on OK, you will be able to see a list of tables. Okay, so I am able to see a list of tables. There are actor info, customer list, film list. So let's try to use actor and film actor. Where is film actor? Film actor. Okay. Now, obviously, you can transform the data, but for the time being, I don't want to transform it. So let's just load it down. And now let's say I want to perform an inner join activity on actor and film actor. We already know that film actor and actor are connected using actor ID, right? So our query will be, I have already written down the query. This is how the query will be. Select. So this is like I'm just taking first name and last name and actor ID, last update date from table A, that is my actor, and just film ID from table B. So you can write your inner queries like this, or you can also write like this from actor A, comma, film actor, where this is also your inner join. Okay. So let's say I want to achieve this target. This is my target. This should be my output in Power BI. So how to do this inner join? We already learned about that, right? We'll have to go to transform data. So very initial step, get data, select your databases, select your tables. Then go to transform data and then actor, film actor. Let's say I want to merge queries as new. Let's say actor and film actor. I want it on actor ID because that's my query, right? Where a dot actor ID equals to b dot actor ID because they are connected using this particular column, right? So I will be doing a join on that. I will be doing an inner join on that, right? So I have selected my actor ID column. I will select inner join. Okay. So the selection matches 200 of 200 rows and blah, blah, blah. Let's click on OK. You can see a new table has been created, merge. So let's make it as merged table. Okay, something like this. And let's say in this merge table, I want some columns from film actor as well, which is my, let's say, film ID, right? I can click on that and I'll just close and apply. There are two different techniques to do it. One is this, and one easy technique I will show you after this. Okay, everything is successful. I want to create a table. Merge table. I want to show the actor ID, first name, last name, and the film actor ID and last update date. Now you can see two things. One is you'll have to definitely beautify it. So you have to click on your visualization, go to your formatting options and do blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to repeat it. So I'm just doing the basic steps, which I do border. Now you can see there is a column called as last update date, right? Now, this is just one column. Why I am saying year, quarter, month, and day? Because you can see in this table, your last update date is selected as a date parameter. So the internal components are shown. In order to get it to the original date, you can click on here and click on last update. In order to, like, if you don't want to show the date hierarchy, you can simply do this. But date hierarchies are sometimes important. Let's say you just want data for some particular year. In that case, you can easily filter it out from here. You can see there are filter options, basic filtering. Let's say I just want for 2006 and 2010, right? Some these kind of filterings can also be done here on the go. Let's say I just want it for quarter number one. That can be done easily, which is not possible when you use the normal date function if you're not using the hierarchy. Okay, so inner join doing this is one technique. Another technique will be, let me just delete it. Let me delete all these. Let me just quickly close it. Let's not close it. Just delete it. One easy technique I'll show you, because this technique has took almost like 15 minutes for us to do this, right? Or at least 10 minutes, which is possible in like seconds. So I'll show you that. Okay, everything is done. Now what you can do is I'll click on I'll click on a new report because I want to create a new report, because I'll show you from beginning itself. Just give me 1 minute so that it will be open. Then I will show you. We are still not yet through to the calculated columns and measures, right? Because it's going to be vast. It's going to be more than 3 hours for sure. But we'll try to cover as much as possible today, so that tomorrow we can just focus on the live data, like live dashboard creation. Or else if something is not finished today, maybe we'll try to wrap up tomorrow. Okay, so the database has been created. Let's select get data more. I'm not pretty sure why I closed that. Okay, why I closed the previous. Okay, MySQL database. Again, I have to pass my credentials, my host name 3306. Let's give all the information. 3306 database Shakila. Okay, now click on advanced options. You can see it accepts SQL statement. Okay, obviously it's optional because it requires database. if you are dealing with flat files, definitely this option will not be visible. Only visible for SQL related databases like SQL, MySQL, MSSQL, or Azure databases. Even currently in my current organization, I'm using Azure Data Lakes. So I this particular functionality is like a life savior, because we do have very big complex SQL queries where we are migrating from our XYZ database to Azure Data Lakes. We have to create the reports again, so we have to use the primitive SQL queries, and those queries are like 20-30 lines big. So you can simply copy paste and your output will be ready as part of a query. So let me quickly copy this query. I'm pretty sure people who have minor knowledge on Power BI, they might not be aware of these functionalities, that you can use a SQL statement, or you can on the go you can update it. I will also talk about advanced editor, but yeah, for that we might need some basic ideas as well. So let's just walk you through the basic ideas first. So this is how it looks like. This is my data. Now obviously it's a preview data. Just load it, and you will see a new query here because we have directly used a query. Okay, so your output is in format of query. Ultimately it's a table, like Power BI understand it's as a table, but from the user point of view we can identify, okay, so this is a query. Now let's say you have done some mistakes in the query, for an example, or else on the go you want to add some more queries. Let's say this is one query, and let's say you want a query like this. Select a dot first name, a dot last name, max of age. Let's say it will definitely return one. Sorry, age we don't have, right? Max of actor ID, or else from actor where actor ID greater than 50. Just a random query. Would return me something. First name is not there. Okay. First name is there, right? From actor. Okay. Actor A. I have forgotten the alias. A dot. When you are dealing with one table, it's up to you if you want to provide alias or not. Alias is something like this: table comma a. That means you are providing an alias to this, also known as. So you can use something dot first name. In terms of one table, it doesn't make any sense, but yeah, it is a habit for me. So this is the output. Now let's say you want to use this query. You want to create another query. So again, one more option can be, again you have to click on get data, MySQL, provide all the information, then go to the advanced statement, or else the second easier technique will be go to transform data, just duplicate it, rename it. Let's say, let's say, what was that? Let's say actor ID greater than 50. Actor ID greater than 50. Just for my sake, I'm just creating some random names. Let's say this one is original data set. Okay. Now, this is a replica of this, right? But we have to use this query. So what we can do is click on this, click on your advanced editor. Now you can see there is a complex code. The code can be more complex when it comes to, I mean, in real scenarios, I have seen these advanced query editors like this big, like 20 lines, 30 lines. For the for the time being, we have used the simplest thing, so it's very simple to see. Let source equal to mysql.database something, database something, returning single database true, query equal to this. So for the time being, I just want to edit this. I will just click on this and I will paste my new query. Click on done. It will ask you a permission because it's asking for authentication, because it wants to connect to the database again and then fetch the query. So it is asking for an permission. Edit permission, and see, you can see by default it is taking the same database as you have already connected, so it's not asking that pop-up, but yeah, it is assuming that you are using the same database, right? So this is how the data, you can see this is how the new query looks like. Similarly, if you want to add few more queries, let's say I want to see a dot actor id, a dot last update, something like this. Simply duplicate it, query 3, click on advanced editor, just update the query. Very simple. It's going to be very simple. Edit permissions and run it. Okay, once this is done, click on close and apply, and then there you go. Everything is done. It will just take once like 10 to 15 seconds to apply the query changes, and done. Boom. Yeah. So one more thing. Let's create a table from my original data set. I want the actor ID, first name, last update date, film ID. Last update date, I just want, let's say, I just want year. Just I'm closing everything, just year. Okay, this is how it looks like. Film ID is summarized. That's the reason it is adding up the values. I don't want that. Just go to film ID, click on don't summarize. Okay. Again, actor ID is doing the same thing. I don't want it. Done. Okay, so this is how the data looks like. Now, one thing is that how the data is updated. First thing, you can you can select, like you can always publish it and then schedule a refresh, like what I shown you in the app.powerbi version. But let me show you the traditional method of refreshing data. Now before refreshing data, let me add few columns, let me add few rows. Let's say I'm just adding two rows. I'm inserting a value in the actor table and inserting a value in the film actor table. Okay, now obviously to make sure, I will show you actor where actor ID equals to 9999. See, it's not there. Okay, it's empty. So let me insert these queries. Okay, one by one maybe. Running, running. Okay, and let's say I'll do commit. Now let's see if I can see the data or not. Yes, I can see the data. And definitely, as it is using the same actor ID, in this particular method, in this particular join function also, it should be visible. So let's try to create a table using this command so that we can see our record. Create table, new table as the query. Now why I'm creating? Because it is easier for us to understand, okay, if the new entry is visible in the inner join or not. Okay, now I have the new table ready. Select star from new table where actor ID equals to 9999. Let's see. See, the new data is available in this query. That means if I just simply refresh I simply refresh, it should be easily fetching the data. It should be easily updated, right? Because we are using a live connection, right? I'll just simply refresh it. Data is added, but I cannot see it. Let me. Where is my data? Okay, let's just filter it. Then it will be like there are so many records, right? Basic filtering 9099. Okay, I can see one record. See, so the changes are visible right now. So we just have to use refresh. Now, if you don't want to refresh it, if you want auto refresh, you can easily do it. Just have to publish it. Then you have to go to your app.powerbi version. Where is that? Just have to go to this. Have to go to your data set. Click on your settings and then click on the schedule refresh. Okay, simple. So this is how the basic things are done. Let's quickly jump into the next topics because we are already late. I think the basic operations are clear. If you still have any doubts, I mean, always there to help you out. So let's just quickly go through these particular slides. What are calculated columns? Calculated columns represents a single value per row computed at the time of creation or refresh. Karthik, I'm very sorry that I couldn't answer your question. I just saw your comment right now. On the row level security, it's going to be a bit advanced for the time being, but yeah, I'll definitely connect to you and I'll explain what exactly row level security is. And definitely schedule refresh, I already talked about. If you still have any doubts, you can ping. Do you have any doubts in schedule refresh at the moment? Schedule refresh is something like if you're using a live data source, I cannot show you right now because in terms of Azure data lakes or something like that, in those cases you have an option of schedule refresh. Let me see, because with Power BI I'm not pretty sure if it is with MySQL I'm not pretty sure. Let me just provide the same link, publish it. Let's save it. Let's say I'll save it as Shakila report and publish it. Power BI webinar. Okay, webinar. Let me show you if that option is available or not. But okay, it's uploaded. Let's go to the app.powerbi. Okay, now I can see my data set. Shakila report data set. Go to settings, scheduled. Okay, it's not active. Okay, but I'm pretty much sure if it works, because I'm not I'm not pretty sure if I can show you or not. It's a bit confidential, but show you. I'm very sorry I cannot show you right now. But yeah, when you are dealing with your live databases, your schedule refresh option will be there. Okay. In case you have any specific topic in terms of your like if you're connecting to your company's database or something like that, maybe you can ping me out. We can connect over Zoom call and I will help you out how to do the schedule refresh option. Okay. Okay, so I just forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, we were talking about the next topics. So calculated columns, I talked about calculated columns. I will show you how to use this functionality in Excel, and the same thing in Power BI as well. Let's quickly jump into one of the data sets which I have. I have prepared more than like 3 to 4 data sets for you all so that I can explain better. This is one of the data sets which is there. We have order date, state, region, category, quantity, price, sales, and color. Now, what is calculated column? That means I want to create a new column which is based on a previous column. Let's say I want to create total sales. What I'm saying might not make sense with respect to the data set, but just I'm trying to explain what is possible. Okay. Now this is nothing but if I just do equals to this into do, that means the new calculated column which has been created, which is nothing but multiplied with sales. If you can see the function equals to G3 into 2. If I just drag it, it will be done for all the columns. That means this is this into 2, this is this into 2, something like that. So this is an example of calculated column. Now what is a measure? Let's say you want to do a sum of this. Let's say I'm not going to scroll down, but let's say equals to sum of this. This is a measure, because measure is something which is done on the entire data set or the entire column. On the uh, uh, I would say it's dynamic, and it's on the database level, on the data level. The columns, calculated columns, are dealt with a row level activity. Okay, computed at time of creation of refresh. Results are materialized and stored with the table attached to a specific table. So this is how the calculated columns are created. Something equals to something minus something, something into something. So these are some of the arithmetic operations that's possible. Okay, now how to do this in Power BI? Let's quickly go to Power BI. Let's click on create a new column. Simple. Let's say I want to create new actor ID. So what I can do is actor ID multiplied with 2. Click on OK. Now I want to add it in the table. Add my new actor ID. See, my new actor ID is added, which is nothing but actor ID into 2. So real life scenario doesn't make any sense, but I'm just showing you how to create a new column. Something into 2. You just have to define your column. Once you do that, if you want to do an operation on any of the columns, you just have to start typing it, and Power BI will suggest you. Let's say actor ID, and it is already suggesting you, do you mean this actor ID which is present inside your original data set? And yes, if you mean that, into 2, or let's say into 20, and click on save. So your data is, it's dynamically changing, right? So you can perform multiple arithmetic operations, do an hit and trial. Let's say plus 25, plus minus, divide, percentage. All these are your arithmetic operations, quite easy and simple to do. Next comes your measure. Let's say, okay, let's just delete this column and use the data set which we are talking about right now, the sales data set. Okay, let's use Excel, Power BI exercise. Okay, it's asking for which all sheets do you want, because I have multiple sheets. If you want to see the data set, this is how the data set looks like. It has multiple sheets, sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. So it is asking me which sheets do you want. I want incentive and sales. So just load it. I'm not going to the transform option, and I'm not going to show you how to transform the data, but I have already spoken about the transformation part earlier. I'm just loading it blindly. So quickly we'll try to create some of the measures, and we'll try to wrap up today's class. Tomorrow, if you have doubts, we can get started with the doubts, and then we'll start with the live session, live dashboard creation. Now I'm just creating a table blindly. Sales, I want to provide, let's say, let's click on everything. Doesn't really matter. Okay, now let's say this is how it looks like. Order ID, let's make it order ID. Okay, this is how it looks like. Now let's quickly get started with the measures part. So I'm going to find the total sales. Now Power BI is quite intelligent enough. It has already shown me the results of sales, because in this table, sales is already using this summarization operation, right? But in case I want to create new a new measure, let's say you want to show the total sales. One option is creating a card and showing the total sales. By default, it is showing you the sum, 135 million. This is also one possible way to do it. But how to create a measure? New measure. Let's say I want to name it as total sales. So equals to, you just have to type in calculate. That means I'm going to calculate something. Now what I'm going to calculate, going to calculate the sum of a column. So calculate sum of. So you can see Power BI itself is so user friendly. It's going to help you in the it's going to help you, because once you get started with any letter, it gives you suggestions. So calculate, then it's saying that calculate option uses an expression and a filter. Okay, filter is an optional thing. Evaluates an expression in a context modified by filters. So as of now, we don't need any filters, but going forward, I might need to add filters. Let's say I want to see the total sales for only central region or maybe south region. So in that case, I can add a filter. For the time being, I'll add just sum. On which column do you want sum? You can see the suggestions already. I want sum on sales, table sales, and the column name is sales. Just close the braces, click on tick. Okay, now I'm just going to create another card and I'm just going to use the total sales. You can see these two things are same. So there are two different ways to handle this. You can either create a measure or you can use your original column itself and then use the aggregation method. If you want, this is better, but yeah, this is just another option which is available. Okay, quickly, if you want to change it to average, quite easy to do it. You can just change it to average, change it to minimum, quite flexible. So you don't have to create 4 or 5 different measures. Okay, but yeah, we should have the options ready. Now let's go ahead with the next slides. What do we have? And so calculated columns, I showed you how to create the basic calculations, minus, plus, arithmetic operations. What are measures? I also showed you what are measures. Basically, it's computed at runtime, because when I'm creating a measure, then only I'm getting my results, right? So it is computed at runtime. Represents a single value per data model. Results are dynamic based on filters, not attached to any specific table. You can create a measure using multiple tables as well. Okay, sees all the data at once. What are the examples of measures? I already showed you some, and there are different other techniques as well. We'll talk about that. Implicit measures. What exactly is implicit measures? If we use a calculated column as a value or result, it creates an implicit measure. For example, if we have columns such as tenure in years, monthly average usage, and let's say we want to create the overall usage, average usage for that particular customer, which is simple. I want to just create a new column, tenure months, which is tenure into 12. It's just a mathematical operation. Total usage is like, this is the table name, this is the column name, and it is equals to something into something, right? the basic the basic information which is going to be like, what exactly implicit measures is that if you are changing an underline column, your ultimate measure is also getting changed. Okay, which means a change in the primitive column, that is tenure, will impact the change in the total usage column. Because if tenure changes, tenure month changes. If tenure month changes, total usage also changes. Okay, this is basically like, it's the implicit measures. DAX is good at two things: aggregations and filtering. So how to create sum, average, mean, max? It's going to be very straightforward. You can easily use calculate sum, calculate average, calculate mean, calculate max, calculate count, and it's going to be super simple. Let's talk about, okay, DAX stores data as columns. Super efficient for simple aggregations. Many aggregate functions take columns as parameters. DAX is optimized for single column operations. Columns are the fundamental units of measures. These are some of the basic units of measures. I will share these slides with you as well so that you can go through in your spare time. We can quickly jump into the practicals. So this is one of the functionalities. Like, let's say I was talking about this thing, right? Group by function. Like there are two different techniques to achieve it. You can either go to the Power BI query editor, do a group by, or you can on the go also create a group by function. Let's say I have blue, green, red, and this is how the output I want. So how will it be possible in Excel? If people are aware of Excel functionalities, you might be able to you might be knowing about this function, which is COUNTIF, a conditional count across a range. Now I want to count for this. Okay, no, I have to provide a. Okay, so this is how a COUNTIF operation works in Excel. We will also show you how it works in Power BI. Now this is nothing but it is showing you how many records do I have for this region south. Similarly, I can just copy paste it, and here I can just change it to, sorry, change it to west. Here I can change it to east. Here I can change it to north. Okay, okay, I don't have north. Let's say central. I have central. Okay, I have central. Okay, so this is how the COUNTIF operation works. You can relate it right now, right? This particular thing is possible using COUNTIF operation as well. So let's try to use this functionality and do it in Power BI. Now in Power BI, what I will be doing is I will be creating a new measure. Let's say total count. Let's say just total count. Okay, total count in north. So this will be, I will first call my calculate operation. In this, I will just call, so I'm just writing down the count and see, I'm able to see a lot of suggestions from Power BI. Count A, count X, count blank. Even I'm not pretty sure about all these options. So I'll just simply use count rows. Once I clicked on count rows, you can see it's already showing you count rows operation is basically used for counting the number of rows in a table. So what I will pass is I want to count on this table sales. Close it. Here I want to add a filter because if I want a total sales for South in terms of SQL, how will it look like? Select sum of sales from sales. That means this sales is my table sales. Let me make it as capital sales where region equals to region equals to central. Okay, let me just change it to central. Okay, in SQL it looks like this, right? Select sum of sales from sales where region equals to central. Similarly, in Power BI, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to calculate the sum of the total number of rows. Sorry, not the sum of sales, the total count, right? Count star. Okay, my bad. So what I'm doing is I'm counting the total number of rows where region equals to central. So calculate count rows of my sales. Then I have to add my filter operation. Filter. Immediately filter is telling me that it needs table and a filter expression. So on which table I want? I want it on sales table. What should be my expression? This should be my expression. I'll just simply copy paste region. Now you can see region is throwing me error. Okay, let's change it to double quotes. Region is showing me error because it cannot find something called as region. Let's try to type it. Region. Okay, it has to be table and then you have to provide your column name. Then the braces are clear. Let me just click on tick. That means my measure has been created successfully. Let's try to see how the measure looks like. What is the total number of count in the central area? 1545. Let's try to compare it with the original data. See, for central, we have 1545. So we are able to achieve this. Similarly, you can update this and find out more measures as well. Okay, you can create for north, for west, for south, something like this. So this is one operation. Another operation can be how to find the total sales. Like total sales we found out, right? This was the total sales. This is nothing but calculate sum of total sales. Now if I want to add some filter to it, let's say I want the total sales only in the year 2015. How to do it? So what I'll do is I'll create a new measure, total sales in 2015. Calculate sum of sales should be okay. On top of that, I will add a filter operation. Filter. So when you are adding filter, it's already suggesting you, hey, you have to add a table and then you have to add an expression as well. So I will add a table. My table is, let's say I want to do it on order date, right? Order date. Sorry, pass my table first and then I will pass my order date. Okay. Now I have passed my table name and then I have passed my column. On which column I want my filter. This is the where clause where order date equals to, like, year of order date equals to 2014, because order date is a date field, right? You have to also do another filter on top of date. So if I click on dot, you can see inbuilt functions. Very easy to do it in Power BI. Dot year equals to 2015. Close bracket, close it. Now we'll create a card. What is the total sales in 2015? See, the total sales in 2015 in is 42 million. The total sales in the overall total sales is just it's 135 million, right? Similarly, I will just copy paste this. Get another measure, paste it, 16, make it 16. Okay, and then create a tip, create a card. See, okay, for 2016 it's 53 million. So this is how the filter works. Okay, that's basically all about today's session. Maybe let's see if we have any other slides which I am missing. So this we covered. Okay, we're just missing out on the theoretical part. Why advanced DAX? Now, many people ask me that why do we use DAX? How difficult is Power BI? So when you get started with Power BI, when you get started with understanding the DAX commands, you that's a common human behavior. When you start learning about DAX, you get a feeling that it's going to be very easy. It's going to be super simple. But DAX, there are like millions of DAX commands. Even I don't know much of them as well, to be very honest. So slowly and gradually, once you get started with Power BI, you will have to learn each and every DAX. So in case you are stuck somewhere, easily you can just Google it out. You will be getting communities in Power BI. They will be answering your questions. So you can learn the basic the advanced DAX on the go as well. Okay, this is a generic uh, sentiment which gets started from the developer's point of view. It starts with an excitement that DAX is going to be very similar to Excel. It has basic formulas, add analytic value to data models quickly and efficiently. Then comes here the next stage when you get started working on the real ground level data. Then starts your confusion. It's getting more complex than expected. Should I filter it on the screen or should I use it in the Power Query tab? Because I showed you multiple ways to do it, right? So one question which will be in your mind is that which one is an effective way? That nobody will be able to answer you. That you can You can definitely figure it out when you deal with real time data sets or real time connections. Why do I have to use measures that way? Then comes your anger, utter confusion, filter context and row context. What are nested row contexts? Because your anger phase is somewhere where you have already are familiar with Power Query, Power BI, and you are working on some advanced topics and you are not able to do it, right? But yeah, it's all about understanding. This is going to be your final stage where you understand that, okay, now I think I understand DAX. I'm not an expert, but I can definitely learn better from the community. Okay, these are some of the slides which I missed, but I'm sure I have already covered it. Filtering examples I already showed you. We have seen how to create the total sales. We have also seen how to create the total sales in 2015. And if you want, you can do it for Karnataka. If you want to create multiple filters, that's also possible. Very easy to do. So that's basically all about today's session. I think it was kind of okay, but if you still have any doubts, you have 1 day time before we get started with the live dashboard tomorrow. You can ping me on LinkedIn or you can just leave a comment. And thank you everyone for joining the session. And it's the first live session I'm doing on YouTube, but I have delivered a lot of webinars and seminars across multiple platforms. But yeah, this is the very first live YouTube session I'm doing on my own with my own efforts. Thank you everyone for joining the session. I would also prefer if I would also recommend you to watch out the other videos which I have. And that's it. If you have any concerns, any queries, you have my numbers, you have my LinkedIn profile link. Feel free to connect. And yeah, happy journey with your Power BI. Like good luck for your Power BI journey. Thank you, everyone.